camera, right?
What was the?
I've got the camera pointing this direction. Yes.
What is the? What was the the company that used to let you do this? The first one that you could communicate with your people free of charge.
Oh, Skype.
Skype.
Yeah.
Skype. Yeah.
Well, this is a little different because this is just a sort of one-way communication of making a video. Anyway, at this moment, we're live from southern Missouri in the Ozarks. This is the Swedish America Heritage Online, and we have two special guests with us today, Joe and Mary. And what I'd like to do is just ask them a few questions. They are not, you can sit back and relax. There you go, Mary. Joe and Mary, like myself, are not original inhabitants of Den County, but they've found their way down here from northern Illinois. And maybe I can ask you, Joe, first. I understand maybe you were the first one who found this place, but let you tell everybody about it.
Actually, it was back in my high school days as a senior in high school. I had a friend that I went to school with, and his father was an avid trout fisherman, and he was coming down this way, and he asked us boys if we want to come down here with him. So we spent a week down at Montauk, and between there and the White River fishing. And in the whole process, we got to meet some of the locals. This man had lived down here for a while, and in fact, he had some relatives down here. But he took us around, and we had free breakfast at all the local neighbors that he had made hay for in order to generate some capital to buy food while he was out here fishing.
Okay, so you did some fishing. You spent a week at Montauk State Park. And so that was, and plus you met some locals?
Met some locals.
So why in the world did you come back, Joe?
I'll tell you the truth. I kind of fell in love with the locals. They were straightforward that I couldn't believe it after dealing with the people up around the Chicago region. They would tell you what they wanted you to know and exactly. And when we got through talking with them for a while, you'd wonder what they said or what they meant. And down here, you knew immediately what they said and what they meant.
Okay, high school. How about you, Mary? What was your first event down here? And what was your impression of it?
My first event down here was with Joe and the girls when they were little. We would camp down at Montauk State Park. First of all, we stayed in the cabins the first few years when our kids were real little. And then as the campground got bigger, we ended up camping part of the time too.
Again, let me ask the question. Why did you come back?
Well, I came back because he did. We brought the older girls down here to canoe on the river for 4 nights and 5 days. And first time we'd ever canoed and didn't dump once. It was just kind of miraculous, really. And then we stopped at the little chapel, and the rest is history.
Well, you mentioned the little chapel. Most folks watching this video probably wouldn't know what you mean, so you might want to describe it.
The chapel is a little St. Jude's Catholic church, log cabin church that's out in the country. And the day we were there taking pictures, the caretaker for the place stopped to let the girls in, take pictures inside, and asked Joe if he was even thinking about buying a place down here. And so that's where it all started. And we went home and pushed the pencil for a while and came back and bought the place. And that's been 34 years ago.
I'd never heard that before. The fact that it was the very first time you'd gone to the chapel. Somebody suggested that, or even asked you that you wanted to buy any property.
It's going to be for sale next Monday morning. This was Saturday.
Wow.
And so I put my wife in charge of the purchasing. I went to work back at home harvesting the crop, and she kept in contact with these people until she finally aggravated them enough, or they aggravated her enough, that they came to some kind of agreement on a price.
That was a pretty fast transaction then.
Yeah, about 3 months.
About 3 months.
3 months time.
So
And he says he put me in charge of that. That isn't true. I don't buy anything major without him first approving of it. So, but the guys did call me. Yes, I'm the one in the house that answered the phone. But then everything went from there. We had gone home after the initial talking about buying the place and pushed the pencil and came back down with Joe's dad and one of his uncles and decided one or another of us was going to end up buying the place anyway. So that's how it all took place.
okay, you mentioned the chapel at St. Jude, but where was your place located at that you were considering buying?
Right next door, just north of the chapel grounds, there's 42 acres there in a big triangular piece. So we were kind of off by ourselves.
Okay.
And that's what part of our.
So, Joe, I know you've done a lot of canoeing. I've heard you've actually done a lot of camping out west in places, and I've heard you had a lot of interest in fossils. Tell us how did you develop an interest in camping and history?
I've never thought about it one way or the other why I had got interested in that, but it was outdoors and I like the outdoors very well. And I guess because these people would cooperate with me and go along with me, why I did kind of what they tolerated.
Fools that we were. For all women.
Well, I had some good 4-Hers that used to collect insects. They had insects for a project, and the insects down here are so much bigger than the same insects are back in DeKalb County. Why, that was a big deal for them. I can remember them hunting and plucking bugs off of a window of a restaurant when people were trying to eat just inside one evening, just so they could take them home and add them to their collection.
So insects was one interest, but there's a big insect, isn't there, called an armadillo?
Yes.
Isn't that one of your favorite pets?
It is. It is. And
More than an
we
insect.
counted 5 of them between our house and your house tonight. And they are nice and
Yeah.
big and juicy today.
And dead.
Dead, very dead. That makes them extra special.
Why do you enjoy the armadillo so much, Joe?
I like the armadillo so much because he digs large holes in our yard and in flower beds.
So you have a lot of flower beds in your yard?
More than I should have. So I'm in process of eliminating some of them. I can't, with what my wife wants to do and be away from the place periodically, I just can't hardly keep up the way I'd like to. But it's fun trying.
Well, you must spend a lot of time outside.
A fair amount.
What about you, Mary? Do you spend a lot of time outside also?
Whenever I can, when the weather is nice, but then I take on the rest of the responsibilities. And so somebody's got to pay the bills and do the laundry and cook and clean whatever else there is. But yes, I enjoy working in the flower beds too.
Well, I get the impression that you probably took care of most things all your life. Well, Joe was out in the fields all along, although he couldn't be out in the fields during the wintertime. So what did you guys do in the wintertime up in northern Illinois?
We built furniture and raised kids. That was our major goal in life, was to get those girls raised and built furniture for our home.
Sounds like a good fun topic to work on. Well, thank you very much for your willingness to sit and chat with us today. I really do appreciate that. Any other words you'd like to say to the rest of your family or anybody else watching this video?
Well, I just want to thank you for doing this. I've never done this before. This is exciting. New and exciting, yes.
Yes, it's something we've not tried before. There may be a lot of questions come up over this, but anyway, thank you for the interview, David.
I'm sure you'll hear from the girls.
I'm sure if they hear this, we will.
Thank you very much.